Hey everyone, happy Friday to you. So funny thing, actually tried to go live in the group today. And then when I was all done, realized I wasn't even live and it didn't even record. And so this is why I do it on YouTube and then upload it from there. Yes, I can be technically challenged sometimes, so my apology. We all have our specialties, and technology is unfortunately not one of mine. So welcome back. It's Friday. I'm so excited that it's Friday. We have friends coming from out of town this weekend, and we just have a full weekend planned. So it is time for the question of the day. And today's question is on the keto diet. And should we all just do the keto diet? So let me start with the short end of the answer, and then I'll go into explain why. Okay, so the short end of the answer is no. I don't think we should all do the keto diet. Okay, so as y'all are starting to get to know me, you are realizing that I like to explain things in detail, right? And I like to do that because I think the more informed you are, the better, right? I am not one that is just going to tell you what to eat. I actually want to teach you so that you can learn it for yourself. So with that, we need to understand what exactly is even the ketogenic diet. So the short word for it is the keto diet. And it is one that is in high fat, moderate protein, but very, very low in carbohydrates. And when I say low, I mean your carbohydrates are limited to about 5 to 10% of your daily caloric intake. And if you look at that in grams, it's about 20 to 50 grams. And that is substantially low considering the average American usually eats about 300 to 500 carbohydrates a day. So ketosis is a metabolic state in which your body burns ketones, in which ketones are actually just fatty acids that are made in your liver. And so they burn ketones for fuel instead of glucose. So the keto diet was started by a guy named Russell Wilder, and I think it was 1921, where he designed it to treat epilepsy. So he coined the term ketogenic diets for almost a decade. Okay, so the ketogenic diet was in the medical world as a therapeutic diet for pediatric epilepsy and was wildly used until its popularity ceased, and then the introduction of what's the word I'm looking for here? Epileptic agents were introduced. In other words, medication, right? Okay, so the reemersion of the keto diet as a rapid weight loss formula, it's relatively new, within the last few years or so. And yes, it has been shown to be quite effective, but very short term. So let's jump into how a keto diet works for fat loss. And so influencers in the keto world, they spend most of their time talking about ketones and about insulin and about carbs and fat. But the keto diet, it actually works the same as every other diet does. And that is by achieving a caloric deficit. And so if you've ever tried the keto diet, hopefully you worked with someone. You didn't just say, oh, I'm going to be on the keto diet. Hopefully you were working with someone and they gave you a set of macros to follow with your specific percentage, with your grams of protein, carbs, and fat that you were to consume daily. And if you lost weight, that's how and why it worked, because you were getting your body into a caloric deficit. The rapid weight loss attributed to keto is primarily due to the loss of water weight, because the body requires water to store carbohydrates. And it's actually right there in the name, if you say it with me, carbohydrates. When you drastically lower your carbohydrate intake, water is no longer needed for you to be able to store your carbs in your body. So voila, you shed weight fast from losing water. And notice I said shed weight and not shed fat. That's because the initial drop of weight, which can be quite significant for some people, that's why keto has the reputation of getting quick results. But it's not really fat that you're losing in that first week, it's water. And once the initial water weight is lost, keto is really no different than any other fat loss diet. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes compliance. So in other words, it requires staying in a calorie deficit. Fat loss is a very long, slow process, regardless of which method you choose. So there is a lot of challenges in staying on the keto diet. And one of those is actually staying in a calorie deficit. And the keto diet can be difficult because many foods are really, really high in calories. And that's probably one of the main reasons that intermittent fasting is popular among keto diet practitioners, because you're skipping an entire meal. And by not eating until noon, you are naturally going to consume fewer calories. So in essence, there is no magic window. You're not eating, in this specific time. It's because you are consuming less calories, therefore being in a caloric deficit. So if you just naturally start scrolling through keto recipes or blogs or cookbooks, you are going to see that it is not uncommon for recipes to have 500, 600, or even more calories per serving. And that's actually for a very small serving of food. It's not that it can't be done, because it can be. You see it, right? You see it everywhere. There are absolutely people who are losing weight and keeping it off on a keto diet. It just may require, tracking your macros, being very diligent about serving sizes, and being able to stay in your calorie deficit for fat loss. But see, here's what happens when you are restricting an entire food group. So like carbohydrates, that can actually trigger hunger and cravings for the very thing you are not allowed to have. You know that, right? Anytime you go on a diet and now suddenly you are not allowed to have chocolate cake, now you want chocolate cake, right? So it's very, very common for your carb cravings to be out of control. And then using those high calorie keto treats as an attempt to stay compliant on the diet. So keto treats, think those keto muffins, keto cookies, keto bread, keto granola. It is no coincidence, right, that there has been an explosion explosion of all these specialty foods in the grocery stores, and you're seeing ads on them everywhere now on FB or, just everywhere. And that's because they mimic their carb-containing counterparts. That industry is worth a lot of money, and these keto people, the keto connoisseurs, they know it. But many of these, keto-approved foods, they are even higher in calories than like the real deal food, right? And while the carbs might be lower, the calories are not. The high dietary fat in the keto foods packs a bigger caloric punch. Fat has 9 calories per gram, while carbohydrates have only 4 calories per gram. So a little bit about dietary fat. Fat is the most calorie-dense macronutrient that there is, at 9 calories per gram, like we just stated. But it's also the least satisfying. And if you want to try that out for yourself, go ahead. Next time you're hungry, just eat, 1 serving of nuts or some cheese or a spoonful of peanut butter or a spoonful of, coconut oil, and notice how long that keeps you full. It doesn't, right? But I bet you already knew that, right? So even though you just consumed several hundred calories, you still feel like you didn't even eat, and you're going to be looking for more food in no time at all. The hunger suppressing effects of the keto diet are more likely coming from the protein. And protein is the #1 macronutrient for killing hunger. And that's actually the one thing that keto does get right. Even the moderate protein intake required for keto is more protein than most women eat when they are left to just figuring out things on their own. So in conclusion, do carbs make you fat? No. Eating in a calorie surplus is what causes weight gain. And if you want proof, I can certainly post my really credible sources below. I'm more than happy to do that. A calorie deficit is what is required for fat loss. And carbohydrates, they can absolutely be part of a fat loss diet. They are part of my diet, and I eat for fat loss. They are part of my clients' diet as well. Now, do many of us usually eat way too many carbs? The answer is yes. And carbs, they do make a significant, drastic impact on our blood sugar. And that's why it's important to find that happy medium so your hormones are stable. And for some, doing the keto diet, that keeps their hormones stable. But does that mean it will for you? Not necessarily, because we are all different. My plate is going to look different than your plate. I may need more protein than you, or you may need more protein than me. I may need less carbs than you. We are all different, and I cannot stress that enough. But that is the beauty in hiring a nutrition coach, is they are going to work together with you to figure this out. It is a lot harder to figure it out on your own. It just is, and it's okay. We can ask for help. It's totally okay. So, should you try the keto diet? Well, the smartest keto practitioners I know, they take a very flexible approach, and they cycle in and out of keto, and they don't demonize carbs, and they don't believe keto is the only way, and they really have a healthy mindset about all foods, carbs included. So the bottom line is this. Make time each week to grocery shop, right? Okay. If you consume primarily real, whole, nutrient-dense food, and you come to understand the basics of nutrition and fat loss, you are going to understand that fat loss comes from a calorie deficit, not from drinking coffee with grass-fed butter and collagen in it, okay? So in other words, if you are not trying keto as a last-ditch act of desperation and falling for every keto scam that crosses your news feed, then do it. But too often I see women go from one extreme to the other, and they go from eating, the standard American diet of highly processed food that are high in refined carbohydrates. Again, think, 300 to 500 carbohydrates per day, mostly from sugar, to the keto diet, which is less than 50 grams of carbs a day. The struggle is real, guys. The struggle for compliance in their bodies. They just don't adapt well to that rapid decrease in carbs. And that's where that keto flu comes in. And so they're just relying on highly processed keto convenience foods, those stores, that food that's in the convenience stores right now, to help get you through. So they're actually not changing the habits that led them to become overweight and unhealthy in the first place. They're just replacing them with something else. So at any time you attempt a diet from a place of desperation or panic, you are setting yourself up for failure. And if you've tried keto, but you can't stay on it, and you have disordered thoughts about healthy carbs, you should not be on a ketogenic diet, at least not until you have established a foundation of balanced hormones and a solid education around food and metabolism. Keto is a tool. And just like any tool, there's a right way and a wrong way to use it. For example, you wouldn't use a hammer to fix a leaky faucet, okay? So a keto tool is not the right way for everyone, okay? But I can tell you that inside Metabolism-Makeover, my specialty is getting to the bottom of what your body needs. And I teach you how to really listen to it. I don't want to sell you junk food. I don't want to sell you any products. I just want to inform you so that you can make the best possible choice for yourself. My special for December, it's going to continue. I understand this is a hard month for everyone. I get it. Okay. I'm a mom of 9. I understand it's a hard month for everyone. And that's why I lowered my coaching price for the month of December, my one-on-one coaching price. But come January, I'm going to be honest, it's going to go back up to the normal price. So if you really want to get in on this price, you want to book a call today. You want to get in on one-on-one coaching while I still have this low price. Because again, in January, it's just not going to be here anymore. I personally couldn't keep it this low forever for everyone. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Next week, we'll address a new question of the day. I will wonder what it's going to be. Thanks for watching again. Happy Friday. And I really, really hope that you guys have a great, great weekend. See you next time.